becoming this input. This unit and the edge, then all the in the becoming the maker. Now, whatever is going in the world, it will be to the glory of God, the sanctification of my incidents, the well-being of my entire mission. That at the end of our operation, then in mind, each of us, before the offer of the we ask all these to Christ our Lord. Thank you. I know that other joiners we have on this side for 6 higher education institutions in Anambra State. But I think that I think each can be represented. I think we have to compare on that here. I think that the rest come. I'm sure we know why we are here. This is a discussion that is not to oversee our higher education, internationalization of the curriculum, and beginning to talk now. Not to oversee for our higher education. We are somewhere. We can't go, we are stuck somewhere. Just by your higher institution on this very important area that have great outcome on our students. I want to say that the guest speaker and I, for the past 4 years, we have been talking about this. I didn't even know it would be like this. I have been with the fight for a very big event to bring it to our country, to bring from NCUK and the rest of the world. Then we do not like to be good. At times they want to start home. Start talking to Nigeria. Let's just talk about it. Normally go to a conference in the US. Fortunately, only 2 of us are in Nigeria that participate in that conference. Meanwhile, you have more than 10,000 all over the world. They all have their students when they are not represented. So, when we bring it to our country, Nigeria, we are only want to see something. Let's start with the discussion of their ways and ethics. So, we are preparing for the Internationalisation fair we had in October, or just to International NCUK University National Study Center. The one we applied for March is when we said which is still is starting. And you have 5 years discussing it in a forum. The attacker was one of those universities. There has been a forum. This is the first time. Nigeria. So we thank God we have okay. Before they go further into talking about it, I'm sure many of us know the Center Director, CEO of IDK, the Factory International Sector. Some people will say, where is the IDK right now? We are not the university like this. We have university and we represent for university admission, but not in Nigeria, overseas. So we're running International Foundation here for 1 year now. Starting prevent the be able to study abroad. So what we are discussing, we started some years back with her. I think it was also from that would also be participated at that registration. We are registered on that IDK. They know it's really affected by economy. So today here we have something about it. So explain itself. Let's see explain it. Before we continue, even though we have passed rounds the attendance sheet, let's know ourselves and the universities we are representing. Let me start here. I think your official just.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Prof. I'm a professor of commitment and primary healthcare, where I coordinate with the university and and the university collaboration and linkages in the same university. The flyer was sent on our Facebook platform, and my vice chancellor, Professor Keith, comment about to as a reminder yesterday. So that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, that was good.
My name is Gilman for University. And we graduated from IDK.
Welcome.
State that we should play
Thank you. Welcome. I know, see you. Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Nora. I used to be the director of the Harvard State Polytechnic. And now my own set of an academy, Belmont Academy, Educational Service is run.
Good day, everyone. This is Curricular. The lecturer in the Department of Natural Sciences, not just good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Dr.
From Data University, lecturer of National Institute. Representing the university.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Provost of the Provost of the Department.
I'm in the second time. And we also so later on, not only practice, not we as
Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Ben Christian. I am the academic manager at IDK University for Internationalisation. You are welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I think we're going to start. Yeah. I will leave all the thought, the production, the concepts to our shared teacher, and I want to introduce her, the guest speaker. So much to talk about her. We started way back. So everything I know about her. I want to read. The professor is not somebody I can just talk about. I know we've been together for years. But since she went back, some of you from UNISTAGE, I don't know if you know her, but she started in UNISTAGE before we now US. And they also talk about the toxic, from what I know her, and I'm going to take today because they speak to American laws and I want to read here, talking about the special guest of honor and the speaker today. In the person of Professor Nora Osakwe. She's the executive director for the Center for Transformational Student Experiences. And this one is here for us today. Is now carrying consistent for the Center for Transformational Student Experiences, preparing special assistance for internationalization and global engagement. I'm Professor of English at Albany State University, Georgia, the USA. In her current role, Professor Nora oversees the faculty professional development on curricular internationalization, on our graduate research program, and other international engagements like Fulbright, if I forget, as former director of international education for over 10 years, she led Albany State University study abroad program to China, EU, and that is cause of common letters in leading programs abroad. For all students global. As a result, over 130 Albany State Universities have been international. 80 Albany State University 2023 NASA Spotlight Award for communication. She's editor and co-editor of books and articles and currently serves on the editorial board of International Research and Review, Journal of Asia and Delta, Honor Society for International Scholars. She initiated publication of 2 special issues on internationalizing the curriculum, 14 articles by Albany State University faculty. Professor Osakwe led a university system of Georgia leadership fellow 2021. She is the recipient of the 2022 regional second for diversity, equity, and inclusion, international education. I received 2025 Fulbright NCUK and International Education Administrator English, curriculum studies, and English language teaching, ELT, and practitioner of instruction for Women's University. Then, the University of Nigeria, the University of Jos is a register. She also studied at the University of Nigeria, the University of Jos, Nigeria, and the University College of St. John, Plymouth, UK. And a BA in London. And even graduate government education, and master's education, a BA and graduate certificate. She's a recipient of private case faculty program, Malaysia, and Syria. A doctoral research fellow of the American Association of Universities and the Houston Research Center, Clemson University. A Rockefeller Foundation President Fellow of the Latino Study and Conference Center, and a study fellow of the British Poverty Development at the University College of St. Mark and St. John Taylor's United Kingdom. This is the profile of the professor. You can see how well prepared over the years. There are lots of things that over she felt that were no longer necessary. Because while she was in Nigeria, she did a lot with British Council and the Readers Association of Nigeria. So she has been very hard work. She has been there to cover and carry for government to continue to fight this. So madam, we really want to come here. Well, in the that they have got so much that is free of charge. Not one program she has. And I think if anything, she's trying to make it happen. So we can make that happen.
Remove it from slideshow. Let me put it back in slideshow.
Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can see. Thank you all so much for having me here. And good morning, everyone. For making our time to come. Your busy schedule. It's a tough, it's very tough time. For you to make our time at the very stressful. So, thank you so much. I hope you have an attendance where you get your names and so that you get to recognize who are here. And this is a wonderful moment, and I want to recognize that you are probably the first to be in a forum in Nigeria where there is a discussion about curriculum internationalization. Okay? Yes. And it is critical that we recognize your presence and very important. You have planned and planned and planned. But it's been very difficult to pull it off. And it's only someone like Gilman, IDK, the executive director, who is able to make this work. This particular forum is supposed to be initiated by NCUK or a bigger population. That's how it's done in other countries. So we have to be appreciative that we have opportunity, and it doesn't matter that we are even 2 or 3. the most important thing is that we are making a massive. And so let's go ahead and thank Gilman, for taking on the responsibility to organize this. She's doing it at her own cost. We don't have any grants to do this, but we are hoping that something will happen to get the grant. We have a grant. That's why we need to know who you are, which institutions to engage. Before coming over here, I was at Abuja and had a session with them at Veritas University, Abuja, a private Catholic institution. They are also very interested in internationalizing their courses and internationalizing their campus as they do. So there are a number, especially the private institutions. I also know that Clarendon University of Nigeria, that is in Igbo State. The Vice Chancellor is also interested on the question of logistics about how to do your. So I'm glad and very excited that you went again and will be taking on the responsibility of the course. So more or less, this is an introductory session, and we are going to simplify it as much as possible and make it as interactive as possible, working in groups, so that we kind of have an idea of what this is all about. So the first thing to think about when we talk about internationalization, I hope this slide can go, right? So let's look at some of the objectives. Usually, the workshops on internationalization can stretch to many days and sessions and group discussions. But we're going to make this as brief as possible to get you to understand the basic concepts and why are we doing this? What's the rationale for this? And what are some models, discernible trends and types of internationalization? You are actually experiencing it every day, but it's not in the curriculum yet. Events that are happening in the world constantly tells us there is time to modify and change some of our practices in all the subjects that we teach, that we need to integrate global and intercultural learning into our courses. So that's what it's all about. So we're going to touch on that. And then I'm going to use some models of what has been happening in other institutions. I'm going to use my institution, and then I'll share models of how courses have been internationalized. And then we talk about what could be a model for Africa, or what could be a model for Nigeria, what could be a model for UNICEF, okay? So continuously we have to break down and how could this be implemented. And Chinwe and I, we've talked about it, and we've said how it is very important that the system, which is NUC at this point, that is over the universities, will have to take on the responsibility to do this. And then other institutions that have done this successfully has been private institutions. Non-governmental organizations can also key in to help to train, ports of groups of smaller institutions. Elsewhere in the world, US, Europe, they're actually involving even higher educational institutions. So we do some illustrations, and then we will also now do discussion in tables for you to brainstorm. And what would a model, looking at Nigeria, in designing any curriculum, you have to think about needs analysis. What do we need to integrate in our present curriculum in order to ensure that the goal, the target ultimately are the students, in order to ensure that these students who we are graduating every day actually get to know how to integrate with the world, And constantly we see people, graduates, who are wanting to travel out, either to go on to a career or to get on to doing other things. How are they ready to meet the world? And even if they don't leave the world, within Nigeria, we have 400 and something languages, we have ethnic groups, we have intercultural groups. How are we preparing our students to be able to grapple with the dynamics of culture and be able to relate amicably with one another? So that's basically what we are going to do for now. In my institution, after we do the general symposium, we do specific training, we have mentoring, one-on-one faculty. So those are things that come once an institution embraces the concept and we want to also begin to implement. Okay, so a large meal that has to be eaten gradually, okay? So what you want to do today is to understand what is it all about. Understand it from a concept that without taking notes, without looking at your book, if somebody says, what is curriculum internationalization? Be able to say 3 sentences and say why it is necessary or why it came about. Then you're good to go. Okay? So you begin to read articles. You have thousands of articles, hundreds, you know, and there are some that are freely available online. The journals that we publish in, it's free access journal. So if I give you the link, you access the journal, you read samples of people who internationalize their courses. And one thing about curriculum and course internationalization is that even without somebody pronouncing to say UNIZIK is now embarking on internationalization, you can begin to internationalize by yourself once you understand the concept and why it's necessary. Okay, so what's the first thing we are going to do? We've all heard the word curriculum internationalization, internationalizing the courses. So what is this all about? So let's draw a poll. If you have heard this before, have you heard internationalization before? Right? Yes. In your agenda at the back, and just raise it up. Let me see. Have you heard about it before? If you had about it before, and you can have an idea of what it is, right? Yes. If you've not, it's the first time this concept is coming to you, right? No. Okay. Just make it bold at the back so that I will see what you have. Yes. Okay. Okay. So come around and see. So you have yes. What about you? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we have to get our so all I do is you have to get no. No. Yeah. So you got about no. So all you know is can you raise your so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nodes. And the yeses, we have 1, 2, and the professor doesn't and yes 2. Okay, so let's start from the yeses. What do you know about internationalization? What is it all about? Let's just keep reading. I'll give you the money. I always the first. Because
Okay, if I look at international, so what we're talking about courses, curriculum, remember that we're moving towards the global goal and everybody seems talking about safety, so that what I'm doing here, if I say that I'm a student of IDK and I find myself in Albany State University, it's also the same thing rhyming, so that all goes well.
Awesome. Alignment. Program alignment. Yeah. Good.
From my own perspective, understanding the situation after the authority, meaning that having the spirit that is not local to the same cause of everything that revolves around ADC, not really from own local perspective, having an understanding of other environments.
Very good. Awesome. Extending beyond the local, or that global. Bringing the Lord and okay.
Having a curriculum concept.
Very good. And one more yes, but I will
from my own perspective, I'm from Internationalisation. So I got to learn about this. How to bring students to the international university. So that when they graduate, whether they want to Japan or want to stay in Nigeria, standard of what offer should be able to provide them a good place of work. Yes, particularly many projects and everything should be aligned with the level of interaction.
excellent. So what was that training? Was it like a training that you had?
Yes, for Sensitisation. Rentals, identity.
Okay, even better than that. I'm not work of education, so you have to do this. And now we do. Yeah, that's very good. And that's exactly what you talk about. So those who said no, you think you should be. How did that happen?
Yes. Thank you. Internationalization is not but when you take complete trade, that's when I would say that it's important I've heard about. But what I think should be education, curriculums, or institutions, world over. So that any student, wherever he or she finds himself, whichever country he or she is, always relate with what is happening elsewhere in the world. Students can always think of who will be the kind of things, the content of the maybe want to interact and relate with other international students. Regardless of where the best is. That is what I think.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so a lot of relevance in what we are going to discuss, and with those contributions, let's look at what this whole curriculum internationalization is all about. So we have historical perspective to this, and it comes from different continents. Okay, in North America, it's led by the US, in Europe, Britain, and it reflects on what was happening in history at a particular time. But the person that's in US that is instrumental to ensuring that we make what is happening in the world in terms of culture, we bring it into the classroom, into the curriculum, into projects, is President Lyndon Johnson. Okay, and then why was that? Because of the world wars. See, the world war started far out here, but people in Nigeria were recruited to go to the war. How many of you had families that their grandparents went and fought in the war? I don't know whether you heard about the history, but people in, yeah, a lot of grandparents were recruited. They went to fight the war. Yes. So even though they didn't know the cause of it, who brought it about, but their masters were involved and they needed human beings. So even if you're here, you think that what is happening there will not impact you. If there is global war, it's going to impact everyone. And that is why it is critical that discussion of everything is integrated into the curriculum. So when Lyndon Johnson, after the First and Second World War, it was definite that those wars came about fear. Fear of what is China going to do? What is Russia planning? What are they doing? And because of fear, okay, we are going to eliminate the Jews. Because of fear, we're going to do. So it was obvious to them that education needs to integrate the awareness of other countries, awareness of culture, so that people will understand and know and see others as beings. So he proposed the Education Act, International Education Act. And in 1966, they have that act passed by Congress. And it simply means integrating the world dimension into the curriculum. And for them, it bypasses not just higher education, but even lower level. People need to understand that people in Africa are human beings. People in China are human beings. People in Europe, they are all human beings, and we need to relate and respect them. So as a result, we have extensive students and faculty staff programs initiated. How many of you have heard about Fulbright? Fulbright, you ought to be part of it. You can benefit from Fulbright. In my university, we had a faculty from UNN who completed 1 year. So what is the exchange? They want you to come and bring the perspective of Nigeria, bring the perspective of UNIZIG, bring the perspective of your culture. Igbo, if you're from Igbo, if you're from Hausa, bring the perspective of Hausa into the curriculum over there, teach the students what it's all about, and also bring the perspective of your course that you teach. Because the courses that you teach have nuances that are impacted and influenced by the environment. So they want you to also bring that across board. So globalization is actually the cause of internationalization. They are not the same thing. What is globalization? The crossing across borders of technology, human beings, values, economy, culture, everything. See, people are traveling all the time. People are blocking their borders. They don't want you to come in. Trump is busy saying who should come in and who shouldn't. But whatever you do, they will cross across borders. So how prepared are you for the Fulanis to cross in here? How prepared are you? How prepared are you in education, in educating little kids to be aware of their environment and be aware of terrorism and be aware of, or do you just assume that they will just know? So education should begin to imbibe all of this. That's what it's all about. So internationalization, globalization is a catalyst of internationalization. It came about, internationalization came about because of globalization. And different perspectives in different parts of the world. In Europe, it's a different thing. They didn't take action about the World War. However, the US initiated it, and the 5G countries joined. They formed the United Nations in 1945, right? They had the UN, they formed the 4G, and how do we broker peace so that we won't have such wars anymore? And they started UNESCO, you have UNICEF, all these bodies are bodies initiated to integrate peace. They created world organizations. So these are instruments that came about as a result of that. And these are globalization instruments. Okay? So in Europe, especially Britain, you know, they have the power language, English, okay? So the marketization of education is also as a result of globalization. And that's also internationalization, because they now marketize their education, English for academic purposes, English for engineering, English for science and technology. I also benefited from that when I was in Nigeria. They came, took samples of professors from different institutions and gave us training on, if you're in English, how to develop English for technology, English for science, English for law, and all these.
English as a second language.
English as a second language. So that's also part of internationalization. And then what are other parts of internationalization? Languages. If you have a power of languages, it's also internationalization. We have Chinese Institute in UNICEF now, right? Is that still active? Okay. And they came, I was in China. Who did I see on Shanghai University campus? UNICEF, some of my students, they gave them all scholarship to PhD level, and they all speak Chinese. That is part of internationalization. So what happens once they get educated, then they can use the language, they'll study their system, their economy, everything. And they come back. That culture is also integrated. So internationalization is a result of globalization. So various perspectives and different countries, different institutions take on their own dimensions and define their models of, making sure their own students eventually get to the ultimate goal of internationalization. The ultimate goal is what? Global learning. And what's global learning? There are two things. Global learning is intercultural and international. So you have to have those two knowledge and the skills that come with them to say that your internationalization is effective. So the result is when somebody graduates, what global learning, intercultural learning, would you see that this person has imbibed as a result of the degree in philosophy? The battery is going off.
The battery of the battery.
Yes. Where's the laptop thing? Okay. The battery. Can we plug it? Can we plug this before it runs? So that is the whole concept. So even if we don't go through all the slides, yeah, those are the basic things I want you to understand, and you think about it from the perspective of the course you're teaching. You're in philosophy, you're in environment, you're in medicine, you're in environment, or you're in history. What do we do if you're an administrator? What do you do to ensure that ultimately the students that leave the campus get to imbibe intercultural and international learning, which is come together to be defined as global learning? So The historical perspective, that's for the US, but if you go to Europe, the same thing, theirs was basically on marketization of their education through English, having all kinds of English, and who were the buyers of education in Europe? Originally the Asians. They have the money and they came, they were eager to learn English, a lot of, and the rest of the world, Africa, you know, the elders we have who were the first to be educated, if you get to Europe and get the education there, that is part of internationalization. And that is also part of marketization. And a lot of parents now, they want their kids to leave the country. Those who have money, they want them either to be educated in US, Canada, or in Europe, in Britain. That is globalization and internationalization. But how prepared are they by you as they are living? How prepared? What skills do they have as they leave to be further educated? So that's the answer to that is internationalization. What do you do to ensure that these students are prepared and when they get there, they actually succeed? They don't have degrees that are not functional, okay? So one of the things we will learn, we're going to discuss here too, is that the global, the national, at the global level, the world level, we have discussion of internationalization doesn't come down to the classroom. It comes in form of policies, country policies, okay? Acts, like US has their act, International Education Act. That International Education Act is actually implemented by US Department of State, US Department of Education, and it goes down to institutions through systems. Like in Nigeria, which institution or organization takes care of all the universities? We have a system, right? The NUC. So it's actually the NUC that comes up with policy, relates with government, defines what they want the universities to do in terms of that. But we've not done that yet. But in other countries, it's been done. So in US globally, they've done the act. The act is already there. So institutions and states, the states, for example, have their system. In my state, Georgia, we have the University System of Georgia. So the institutions that come under the state, the University System of Georgia, we used to have like 32 universities, but they combined them. Now we are down to like 26 universities. So we follow the policies that defines how we are going to focus in breaking down the global learning outcomes and objectives. And then with that, the institution defines the model and the training that the faculty will get. Okay, so we have, when you're discussing internationalization, you look at it at the global level, countrywide, continental-wide, then countrywide, and then you come down to national level, which is countrywide. Then you come down to institutional level. So all institutions do not implement it the same way. So when we come here, once we define a model, institution will decide what they want to do. However, everything still will be interpreted from the framework of what NUC decides, that they don't want you to deviate too much from the defined curriculum. Okay, and then you have colleges and departments. And when I talk about college, I simply mean faculty. I think at UNIS, we call it faculty. So we talk about faculty of arts and science. Abroad, we call it colleges. And then we have departments. Okay, so how do you break down the goals? And then what is the one that matters the most? Is the one that breaks down to what the faculty does in the classroom. And when I talk about faculty, I simply mean the teacher, the professor, or the doctor that actually breaks down the curriculum and now defines what is the content I'm going to teach. it means a lot what the person goes into the classroom to teach. And there are steps to do that. So the goal in internationalizing the curriculum is to ensure that it simultaneously teach your content, which you have already defined its philosophy, and then also bring in the true perspective, the intercultural, which helps this person to put into character. So if you're teaching philosophy and simply just talk about that content, that related to humanity and diversity and traveling around. What the philosophy here, how it was relate to the philosophy that is taught in the US, how do they combine to impact humanity? So until you begin to live through that, I not just teach from what you see in the textbook, how do you make sure that the content actually punch that content and change it and present it with impact the human? And they can function in the environment. So it's no longer your right and after them to branch after breaking it down yourself, bringing in some order into it, and say, okay, we have to set down on this, we have to move this. And that's exactly why you are a professor. At the university, a professor is someone who is able to analyze, synthesize, bring it out, break, and pick the best and do what is best for the student. So, that's exactly what it's asking you to do. So how do you do this? So in internationalization pedagogy, we now show you what you do to make yourself unique. And then what you do, once you've done that, you actually implement it in your classroom. And after you've done that, you can actually write it up as an article and publish it, and it becomes a model for another faculty, another professor somewhere else, maybe Europe or something, to see what you did in Nigeria, in this classroom in Unity, or in this classroom at Oxford University, in a content of statistics, mathematics, computer science, engineering, to integrate the knowledge of other things apart from just pure science. Or you're teaching law. How does your law impact the law? And after your student graduates in law, how do they manage up when they go to another system? What can they do? Okay, so we must somehow begin to think about this and not act as robots. You simply read a book. And remember that those books are written by people that you might even be better than them. They are just courageous to publish theirs first. And that you can do the same thing. Write off the pedagogy of what you have done and then share it with a lot of people. So internationalizing the curriculum, the ultimate goal is global learning. However, at institutions, the institution may define their strategic plan, and the strategic plan may engulf or include global learning. So once it includes global learning, every department or faculty, the dean will have to define what single global learning are we going to bring in. Okay? So I've touched on almost some of the things we have there, here. So response, the higher institutions' response to globalization. And we've defined globalization as night and width. These are very prominent scholars in curriculum internationalization. So the aspect that I've just talked about is the aspect of what the faculty can do. That is where you can come in and do a lot of creativity, and we're going to see some samples of what people are doing. So it embraces global learning. And I've talked about the two components of it, the international and the international and intercultural. What's the difference? Can somebody weigh in on that? International. What's the difference in international and intercultural?
International is across nations, between nations. International is between nations, across nations. Then when you're talking about intercultural, they're talking about looking at the culture of different communities and then coming together as one. Another one I don't know, maybe it's cross-cultural, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So when you're talking about intercultural, could be just two countries that is crossing border, and then intercultural also you're bringing cultures together. And what's involved in culture? A lot of things, language, right? Value system, what? Food, religion, a lot of things. So it has to be intercultural because you must cross your own culture. If you do not teach your students to cross culture, we are preparing them for conflict because they will always insist that yes, there is no doubt. There's no best anywhere. Everybody is unique. Okay? And we just have to exist uniquely, but interculturally. We see a simple example of where God is setting up in Nigeria, where we have dimensions of everything you want to think about: culture, language, religion. So we have to learn. Actually, we should be the ones leading internationalization. Because in most other countries like US, it's only one language and then you have family. But here you have multi languages. And religion too, same thing. So we should be the ones actually leading the discussion about internationalizing our courses, internationalizing our curriculum. So intercultural and international must come together to define what your global learning is. So pretty much we're going to look at intercultural competencies. What are the elements? What are some of the elements? It reflects on behavior. When somebody is not tolerant, not patient, or always insisting on her own way or his own way of doing things and looking down on people, the person needs to be internationalized. Okay. So now why are we worried about this internationalization? Why? What's the rationale? What's the reason for this? Okay, and I'm going to use this component that we have. This is Worldometer. You have it. The 2025 Worldometer tells us how many continents we have. How many continents do we have? 7. How many continents do we have human beings living? How many continents do we have people living in it? 6, right? The last one, Antarctica, you don't have human beings there because nobody will survive there. So these continents have different populations. If you're going to be internationalized, or if you're going to help your students to be internationalized, they need to understand that the world is not just one country, or they are not just alone in the world. They have to, doesn't matter what course you're teaching, ask them, what's the population of this earth? What is the percentage of Nigeria population? What's the ratio to other countries? What's the ratio to US? Surprisingly, my students don't even know. They think because the education they have tells them that they're the most powerful nation. And you see somebody who is ignorant moving like, I am the most powerful. Because what you tell a child, that's what they believe they are. So, but then you ask the child, what's the population of the US? Look around, they don't know. Nigeria is 2/3 of the whole population of the US. Can you imagine that? You know what 2/3 means? 2/3, not 2/3 of US population. Means Nigeria is about 200 something million. US is about 330 million. Then they are sitting in a continent that the space, okay? Then we are sitting in a space that is a space of Texas, right? So what do we have? It impacts our behavior, it impacts the way we do it, it impacts the way we struggle, we are always competing, it impacts our behavior. But it's good to know the population. Population tells you a lot about. So Asia, with 44 countries, has the largest population in the world. 59% of human beings in the world live in Asia. Just China alone is about 1.4 or 1.5 billion. Okay? So that's okay. So Asia as a whole has 44 countries, and we have 4.8 billion. Africa, 55 or 54 countries. You know, we had to make it 51 when we had the Sudan, South. 54 countries has 1.5 billion. And Europe, with 47 countries, it's not up to 1 billion. Right? But you see how powerful they are? Dominating and domineering for how many centuries, right? So it might not be just the number. North America, where US falls, barely above 500 million, right? With 21 countries. And South America, with 12 countries, it's not up to 5 billion. And then Australasia, Oceania, 14, plus 46 billion. 46 million.
Interesting.
Okay, so understanding this figure does a lot to you, and you should. It doesn't matter what course you're teaching. Let your student understand. Even when they are trying to travel to one part of the world, they need to understand where they are going. They need to understand the dynamics of economy. Because some of them travel to places that are worse than Nigeria, and then they fall back. They almost die, and then they come back. Why don't you understand internationalization? Make them understand so that before they even try to run to another country, they know Nigeria is better than many of these countries. So you might as well rough it out here, where you have citizenship, not where you have to hide under the table every day to eat, you know? Okay, so this is basic, understanding this and integrating it in your discussion. So that is number one rationale for internationalization. Understanding that the world is not one thing. It's made of people from diverse places, continents, languages, and so on and so forth. And because of that, we need to understand these people, understand the location, understand, can you even survive there? If you go to some of the places, you can't survive. It's ice. Because you've been brought up, you know. So you need to understand before you leave where you're going, okay? So the dynamics of this, the population of the world tells you the ratio of who you are and where you are. So before you leave, look, understand before you move. Even those who are studying to travel abroad, IDK, you need to let them understand all this before they travel. Some of them do not graduate when they come abroad because they are in cultural shock. Weather alone might make somebody not go to classes for the whole semester. Okay, so you need to understand, it has to be taught along the way, somewhere, that this is, so you decide, do I want to go there or do I want to go to a temperate area? That is what internationalization is, making your students aware. So one of the things we've talked about is the fact that students everywhere lack the knowledge they have, both in Nigeria, both in the US. I've told you a little bit of my own students, they are as ignorant as anything. Because if you come in and you have an accent, they'll ask you whether you live on top of the tree, because that's what they are all learn in their history, that everybody in Africa doesn't even have a house. They live in a small hut, and hanging somewhere, you know. So they lack the exposure to the diverse countries of the world. They don't understand that. So I teach English, and no matter the level of class I'm teaching, rhetoric and advanced writing, I make them to go and research the continent of Africa. How many do we have? How many countries? What do you want to say? Okay, I want to do nursing. Find out what nursing is all about in this country. Okay, so that is an assignment that pushes them to read beyond just their environment and to develop flexibility. Students need to have flexibility and tolerance of differences. Okay, so if you go to somebody's country, don't keep looking for differences, criticizing, oh, they are not doing this. Oh, how are they saying it like this? No, that's not the way it should be said. It should be said this. It's not in your place to go and be judging. So having a clear and open mindset of tolerance and be willing to learn other people. Even though you think your own is perfect, be humble and quiet and learn other people's. Okay, so we'll get to that. If you're here and you're a professor, internationalization of the academic self is the first step. If you do not change your mindset, be ready to learn other things, to open up to other cultures, even if you don't have money to travel. Do you know you can do virtual tours on your laptop? So you get linked to learn about other countries. Don't wait until when you have the money. So, acceptance of diversity, employers and students confirm. We have a survey by AAC and U. Okay, and the research report shows that many students and many scholars, they lack what employers are looking for. So there's a pure divergence of preparation and career. So we need to bridge that gap. And most companies want people that are global, not in terms of traveling, but being aware of what's happening in other countries. Being tolerant, being ready to work with a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, and, you know, gender, all kinds of people, you know. Okay, so of all levels of internationalization, we're going to see levels of internationalization, even though I moved straight into the one that impacts faculty because that's what mostly. In some campuses, you will go there, you won't see anybody discuss about what faculty can do. All they are doing is sending their students abroad because they have the money. But what about those who are not sent abroad? What happens to them? So the one that the faculty does in the classroom impacts all the students. And that's why we are talking about faculty internationalization. Internationalization of the academic self so that you can internationalize. You can't give what you don't have. If you don't believe in it, you can't give it. So Open Doors is a report that is compiled every year, and it takes record of how many students travel to Nigeria maybe for a program, or how many travel to Asia, how many travel to Ghana and stuff like that. They have a record. And it shows that a lot of students are not able to do it. Even there in the very wealthy country, only the rich people get to pay, because just to go for a program in UK, for example, from US to UK, for one semester could be $30,000. How many students can afford that? They're all using scholarships and grants from the government to go to school. Okay, their schooling is very expensive. So how many people can afford that? Not many. So it comes back to, if they're not able to travel abroad, how else can they acquire global and intercultural learning? It has to be through the faculty in the classroom. So that is why one of the rationale for talking about faculty internationalizing their courses. So this is a sample. I've talked about this. The University System of Georgia is a model. They pulled it from the US Department of Education. They pulled down They talk about the global learning we are going to focus on, and each university pick on that and integrate on their campuses. So through creative scholarship, research, and public service, the university's faculty, staff, students, and administrators form strategic alliances internally and externally to promote community and economic development, resulting in an improved quality of life for the citizens of Southwest Georgia. This is a strategic plan statement, and this is one by my institution. Then from there, we pull what we will use. Okay, so this is an example from my institution, Albany State University. We're thinking about faculty of business. We'll call this faculty of business. In ASU, we'll call it College of Business. So if you go, our dean will have to define what aspects, how do we want to bring this into the curriculum for business school? It could be just one global learning, but then it demands the creativity of the individual professor, doctor, to bring it down to how do we make the outcome so that when these students is graduating as a business student, is able to operate as a business graduate, understanding the culture and nuances of other people in the profession, and able to relate and able to operate properly. So the same thing, a marketing student is able to develop competence in promotion, advertising, and marketing communication, international global marketing. This is from the College of Business. So students who are learning accounting, that is what is defined as their global learning. Students who are in marketing, that's what is defined. But this statement has to be broken down by the faculty or the teacher, the professor who is teaching. You will now have to use your creativity. What activity do I bring in? What articles can I give them to read? What material do I give them? What kind of assignment would I give them to make sure they actually achieve this? And not just give them a chapter to read and ask them to answer questions. So it requires the creativity of the professor or the teacher. And that is why training is very critical. Faculty training, what we are discussing now, this is just a mini symposium. The training will involve you understanding what syllabus you are using right now. What syllabus are you using for one course you're teaching? How do you define the goals of what you're teaching? What are the objectives you are using to attain one goal? How do you integrate the global, the intercultural into that particular component to make sure that you're not just giving them content that they cannot relate to the world? Doesn't relate to anything. Okay, so that's the whole thing about internationalizing the curriculum and internationalizing courses. So if you come to a campus, there could be different levels of internationalization. How many of you here in your university, you are aware of partnership of your university with another university? How many of you here have MOUs with other universities outside of the US, outside of Nigeria? How many of you have it? Here you have it. UNIZIC, I know we have one. We have a partnership with UNIZIC and other institutions. What is the role of that? Is it just to travel abroad? And what is the role of partnership? It is a component of internationalization. You are partnering with an institution to imbibe some of the things they are doing. You have an exchange of faculty. Our faculty might come here, and your faculty also able to come over there, have some kind of training, understand what the system is doing, and you bring it down. Who is going to be the ultimate person that gains? Even though we don't do that, faculty, you get trained and that's it. The ultimate goal is to impact the students. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is come back. How do you make this sit down right into your courses that you teach? How many of you share your trip abroad with your students? Okay, I don't know. That's the ultimate thing. You need to share with them. You need to tell them what is happening there so that they don't think that other countries are better. Because people are, once they are getting their degree, they are going to where they don't know. And they get there, they get frustrated. Because they have this picture of, I don't know, maybe heaven, you know, in their minds. There are people struggling like we are struggling. But their countries have been very proficient with packaging them properly to have confidence in themselves, to think that they are the best. Okay, so we need to build that into our education. We need to build students who have confidence, who know that even though I'm struggling, I can create something that I can survive with. I don't have to always run away to somewhere and then get there and become a slave. Okay, so this is just a sample. So we have the healthcare management. What could you put into healthcare management to make the students who graduate in healthcare to be proficient if it's in another environment and gets a job abroad? How many components in your curriculum, on your course or your syllabus, and compare it with the system here and present? You don't have to do it for them. It's a project, they do it. Assign them different countries in their healthcare management. What kind of thing exists in this healthcare? If it's nursing, what kind of activities do they do? How do you compare it with what we do here? So the same thing as supply chain. I don't know whether we have supply chains. Analytics management. So these are different areas. So we just use this as a sample of how global learning goes. You can come down to global learning goals and then you can break it down. So we have discernible trends, which is different institutions can build different programs. Like the first thing I talked about, sending students abroad, is a kind of study abroad, but it's not everybody that can afford that. By the time they finish, they come back, they learn a lot about, you know, other countries. But the greatest impact is that which the professor that is on ground, who is properly trained, brings to the classroom. And that's the one we are propagating. It's affordable and you can do it. It could be done face-to-face. It can also be done online. In my campus, we do both face-to-face and we do online. Our training involves students in person, faculty in person, and faculty that are teaching online. And then you do that through assignments, projects, creative activities, research-based methodology. You give them capstones. Here we call it final projects where they have to defend. Abroad, they call it capstones. Then you internationalize it, meaning you put in intercultural and global learning into it. Okay. So we have, what have we talked about? I see that some people came in newly in capsules. A quick summary to get them up to it. So what did we say that the transformation is all about? What brought about the transformation? What is about? I have my microphone. Who is going to go for? What did we say? When I'm summarizing the first part, this is the second part. Who wants to speak about what internationalization is all about? Curriculum internationalization, what brought about it? What is the value? Take it as simple as you can. Who wants to share? Table one. What is it? Just very simple.
Okay. From what we've just said for the past Internationalization is all about experience, having experience that outside the world, while you are still in your local environment. And in terms of from the historical value that James the American about perspective that came about after the Second World War, the World War, and then the Second War. Then the results forms about more expensive and intensive and inclusive, telling students about other cultures, trying to imply other values in the system. And then the faculty, you about what about students who don't have any resources to move a new environment. How can faculty imply or introduce a kind of interaction process? The way faculty, teachers, and responsible what they can introduce in their content curriculum content.
Excellent, excellent. Is there a round of applause? Okay, yeah. So that's how we want to internalize it in such a way that you can use those people 2 minutes or whatever, or what it's all about. And we said, why are we doing this? Because we are not in the world alone, right? It's a global war. A global war of what population have we just defined? About how many billion? 8 billion, right? And I will say, we're not even, yes, we have the largest population of people in the Asia. With how many? Approximately 4.8 billion, right? And then we say that Africa is second. That population of about 1.5 billion. Okay, and that these countries that have been ruling us for centuries, they're not even on Europe as a whole, when you put all of them together. Okay? And then we talk about the order. You merge all of them together, it's not to be close to. So we evidence know. We need to let them know that they matter. The greatest population of youth in the world are here in this. You know what it means? We have a dying population in other continents, but here it's something to them of our population and all of this. So we need to prepare them properly and give them the confidence to correspond to internationalization. And the faculty, all of you here, administrators, professors, doctors, assistant professors, associates, you have the power. The creative power to recreate the curriculum. Move it away from the colonized curriculum. Not that you're moving away from your content, but you are integrating something inside that's going to help you so that something happens. So we're going to take a few minutes and then we get into the second stage. What do you do to yourself to internationalize the academic stuff? You're a staff member, an administrator, a faculty member, your professor. You don't know. Once you achieve your professorship, you go and lie down and sleep. That's when the journey actually begins. Help the younger professors to write, to help them to publish with them, to help them to diversify the campus, to become more creative. To have younger professors, younger people who are coming in, train them on the best way to enhance learning. So we're going to talk about how to internationalize the strategic steps in internationalizing your course. And what you can do, as the first one we are going to discuss is internationalizing the academic steps. How do you change yourself even if you don't have money to start? So minute break. Maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, if you want. 5 minutes. So let's take a restroom break and then we come back and we'll discuss from this. So thank you all very much for listening. Yes, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So far, so far. Yeah. So I have two people that came in by on checking the person.
Good day, everybody. I'm JP was a job and professor of professor. So he is spoken of market. Actually, we get it because we are already there. He's not much of it. So that's why I said that we can't do it.
We have the discussion and rated all profile of the this is of online professional they can Nora with the professor of English and the director of Internationalisation by River. I shall do
You all are international. You might be thinking, I mean, this is long as you're projecting global and you're an international.
So she has been moving down America. The tax conference or a lot of the conferences issues. So we have really happy here. Started discussion with one of the countries in Nigeria. We hope that this discussion will go round with anything. Looking for the right issue. There's nothing like that can be achieved without anything. And there's other private universities. I think they can find out. He used to say that he says, study how to play. What kind of problems do? They used to bring out, I think they conference papers. And these issues came up. The issue of university of I share my experiences and thinking about all this. When I go to conference, we kept saying we would bring it. So you find out that when you are abroad, they don't work very well with one country. And that's why they came up with the order for years. You never really operated. We will continue to appreciate it. We know the branch for it to expect. So, I believe about to be great.
Yeah, they were supposed to stretch out kind of. Okay, I mean, everybody back to their seats again. I was thinking you could get off, walk around. But don't see the section. Yeah, stretch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, about 11.
You mean in the
Okay. I know he was already out there.
No, I came to it's not showing. No, it's not so showing on the but it's not connected.
On what slide are we?
So
How many slides do I have? Wow, I have to move fast. Okay, so we will have to reset back in. It's not active. Please. Okay. Hello? Hello? Okay. Okay, let's settle back in and discuss internationalization of courses. So when we are talking about curriculum, it could be much larger than just your course. It could involve curriculum and co-curricular activities. But now we want to narrow into internationalizing your course. How do you prepare yourself to be ready to actually do this work of infusing global learning into your course? So we call it the internationalization of the academy itself. And it was Sanderson, he's a scholar, who was the first person to introduce that concept of internationalization of the academy itself. In an article I wrote with some of my colleagues, Dokio and Smithy, is the chief editor of the International Research and Review Journal. We prepared that article, and it embodies 14 itemized activities you can do, even if you're not able to travel, to expand yourself in such a way that you imbibe those skills, the attitudes of the mind, the values that will help you be ready to internationalize your course. There are items. If you read that article, it gives you items, and it's access. You can access it free. You don't have to buy it. You can access that article. We published it. The whole volume, actually, articles in that volume were published by faculty members that were trained, and we have lots of them, but those who were able to write articles that were accepted in that publication. So one of the articles there, the first one there, has to do with what are some of the things you can do, and it gives you a link how you can do a virtual tour of another country while you're on your desk, and get information from there that you can use to internationalize yourself and have open mind that you need in order to. So that is one thing you can read on your own. If you click on that, it's active. Now we have Rick's video. Rick's video tours. Rick is someone who has traveled internationally, especially in Europe, and he records his tours, walks you through historical sites and cultural sites. And you can also walk your students through those sites, even as they've never really traveled out. So the point is, knowledge is power. When you expand your knowledge beyond what you already know, it gives you more power to create a better curriculum and content for teaching. So Rick Steve's tour, video tours, if you click it, it's active. It's a very good example. People go on cruises. You can go on cruise. If you don't have money to go on cruise, you can also do that virtually, and you learn a lot from what happens in different parts of the world, and that you can also integrate in your course. So we have intercultural exchanges, and some of these things are free, and you'll be surprised how you'll be here just because you're active. You're able to get a fellowship that will take you out, everything paid for. Okay, so we need to just be more intentional in things that we do, and things that we read, and how we occupy our spare time. Now, like Fulbright, I'm the Fulbright advisor on my campus, and a lot of people outside, like here in Nigeria, I ask some people, have you ever tried to apply? And they say, oh no, what's that? So you are entitled as a scholar to apply for Fulbright, but you should be able to know which institution do I want to apply to. You can apply for Fulbright that covers you for 1 year. Everything is going to be paid for, including your travel, they'll be paying you while you're there. So, and then once you come back, the goal is once you come back, you learn from things that you'll integrate in your course. So Fulbright program is also part of what you can do. We have what we call the Rhodes Scholar. It might not be somebody here who is also has the money can do a Rhodes Scholar tour. It doesn't discriminate. You get a visa and you go there. Over there is very popular. Those who are not able to, travel with their students, they just go on a Rhodes Scholar. Being a professor, you are entitled. You can go on a Rhodes Scholar trip. You choose the country you want to go. It's well organized. Only takes professors and teachers and you learn a lot. So we have a lot of programs like that. And I have links that's also. And then in some campuses, I know that at UNIZIK, we have I don't know whether they are still there. Do you still have those Chinese professors, are they still on campus? Through the Chinese Institute, are they still there? Yeah. Okay, so even though they are there to teach Chinese, if you're a philosophy professor, if you're an education professor, invite them to come to your class and talk about that particular subject you're teaching in their country to your students. That's internationalization. So don't think that they should just be isolated, doing just that. The fact that they're on campus, they're internationalizing the campus. Invite them to come. Don't be in a hurry to cover all those things you listed in your for the semester.
Just their presence in your class, sitting down, tell them to, even if you think it's veering off your statistics, or it's veering off your maths class, or it's veering off your English class. No, it's not. It's going to be more, you find out that your students will even be more interested in listening to that person speaking. They will listen and learn some things from there. So what we are talking about is bringing in other perspective into what you are, what you're teaching. Let them hear about that country, and then they can ask the person question regarding your course about how does it happen in their own country. So have guest lectures of people from different cultures in it. And if you know a business person outside of the campus that you know is in another country, Ghana, just let them, make them welcome in your class. So that is what it's all about. So bring in people from outside. If you have students, I don't know how many international students come to your campuses. But in Ghana, it's very when I took students to Ghana, we have a lot of students from other countries. Because Ghana is safer, you have students from Europe, from Asia, from all over. But Nigeria ought to be benefiting from all that, but because of insecurity. I have collaborations with IFE, so all those universities, they are not serving their purpose because we can't bring the students, because if you go to US Department of State, a big security risk is on Nigeria. You're going to be kidnapped, you're going to, So once your security risk is above 3, 4 category, nobody is allowed to take students to that country. So how does that? It impacts our economy, right? It impacts our economy because if I bring 10 students to UNIZIK, it's a lot of money. UNIZIK is going to benefit. The students are going to benefit because they get to meet these students live. So it's no longer online, seeing them jumping up and down, but they see them and ask them questions. That's internationalization. We planned all of that, but it didn't work. We had another faculty professor who is Georgia College and State. We collaborate, is also from Imo State. He had brought students to Imo State, from Georgia State. That school is basically a white school, so they're all excited. But at the middle of the program, they were recalled because of things that were posted online. And since then, the guy hasn't been able to pull up another program. It's a lot of money that campus gains from them coming. So that's all internationalization. That's what it's all about. So we are going to discuss this brief. Is there going to be a peer, maybe 2 people in a discussion, and I want you to respond to this. Is there a need to internationalize faculty, staff, student academic staff in Africa, in Nigeria? And I want to very quickly write what you think, and then we can share. What do you think? There is a need to discuss and write it down. There is a need to internationalize faculty, staff, student academic staff in Nigeria, in Africa, and if yes, why? If not, why not? So everybody will have to answer very quickly. Then we will see what's there. There is why. There is not why. Okay, we're going to share, and I'm going to start from the back. If you get the microphone, introduce yourself and respond to that question and say why or why not. Okay. Say your name, don't write your name. Speaking and your institution and then you respond to it. Yes.
My niece something to young but emotionally something to any hello.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. All right. I think my answer.
And what's your institution?
Okay, sorry. Nancy at the University. Hospital Art, Department of Philosophy. My major is in social philosophy. Yeah. The answer is the third question is that P equals I of P plus class staff plus students academic self in Africa to Nigeria. Why? Why not? My simple answer there is yes. It's actually yes. Moving forward, what you discussed so far. It is very blessed and important that students have faculty should be able to see the child, should be able to align in order to learn what okay to order or obtain in order to proceed what start in the particular country to and what today in the particular country in order to align and learn get ready. You rightly said something that when you talk about this coming to Nigeria, trust and I relate for the society. I think that's the best for play. I do also in my class I'm teaching that I relate my class with analogies, especially when I'm students. I tell them stories that will align with the ethics I'm teaching them. I see the students are very successful. The first case I'm thinking now, they don't want me not to take them. Anytime I have what they're agitating with all the past. Most of them that I enjoy. Why? Because the content alone, what I create. And that's the power of creativity, right? That's the case. Okay, so very quickly. Okay. I'm two letters in the Department of Applied Research. Basic question is there is a need to internalize for all these arts students academic years. So in Africa or Nigeria, the answer is yes. One of the basic reasons, like the speaker then is not of that. Instead to assimilate different cultures and experience. Because that interaction you get when you travel outside. When you come back, you learn to be able to assimilate and then give either your students as the case may be a knowledge which you have processed and given. Another one is practical experience. Some of us that are in science-based
counted. When you go outside, some of those universities, there is a provision of supercomputers or some of those high sensitive equipment. So you go there in a lab and different procedures. And once you come back to Nigeria, you will be able to teach your students. And then have that one experience and interaction, how those processes are being detailed. Finally, another specific example is what they have already started, especially in molecular biochemistry, with what they term gene data. They have started building it for Africa-based scientists. And the essence of those gene data banks, which they are building recently, is for scientists in Africa to be able to visit those sites and be able to access the phylogenetic tree of the plant is usually around Africa and
Very good. Excellent. Excellent.
My name is from Data University for the Engineering and Department. So there is need for internationalizing our curriculum. The reason is the advantage. Number one is adaptability. Number two is religious tolerance and cultural tolerance. Then the third one I can say is equal opportunity for both faculty, staff, everybody, and you can work on that.
Okay, so let's have speak
Yes. Like, have a three reasons why as a result of limitation, these are subsequent many institutions are used to propose objective strategic plan. So when it comes to education, there's a lot of things. What is the internationalization is done? Professor, staff, and people students, then you realize that your institution is no longer you have others compete. Your students, when they graduate, they come to another village and they bring the report back. As, oh, what you taught us is what is helping us to serve. But if you make it local, the students go to some other countries or some other things, and they go and repeat what they have already studied because of the experience. Secondly, is that when there is this internationalization, makes the curriculum more rigorous. And the robust curriculum sports faculty, staff, and students to that if the curriculum is shared, and just go in one of your time. So there's another one here, help the students. And you know, everything we do in academia center mainly on how to make it. One, that's the rule and why that. So the internationalization will make one. And next, the lecture has gone for safety.
Thank you. Wow. You all are future prognosis and
Okay, thank you. My name is Gilman. So, I don't want to touch something that is one of the problems that is in Africa. I tell you, for that area, I need a very social psychology. So, think with this, it will help go along going through this issue of terrorism. Because when there is I say, when there is collaboration, cultural context, it needs to help starting from the benefits coming up. I think that's where we have to build the radicalization and start from intercultural collaboration. So, that's what we are.
your project central force. Because these things are not any correct. There's no nothing on what's happening, which is don't have that a concept or something or actually. So you guys work who creatively bring it into a concept, the process of it. And you write it all, I report it because it's not happening everything. So you can't concept of it. And you could be invited to present it to all your half today. When invited to present it when I was in Unity yesterday, I invited your class to Hampshire. So you are very powerful. You don't tell what I'm saying. You have to internationalize whatever you're doing, so that people will want you to come and share what you have. So you have a potential topic. What is happening right? Infuse it into your course, teach it, materialize it, write up an article on it, present it, look for a place to present it, whether you have money. I'm telling you. So what you just said is a potential example of what we can do to leverage the knowledge that we have. You don't have to always have money. You don't have to always have money. But once there's value in what you're discussing and present, people are ready to fund you. I'm telling you, people are ready to fund you. So that's a very good word there. So I think you need to share it. So the next thing would be to discuss the strategy. How do you do it? So we are sharing very quickly so you know what to do. Don't wait for anything to delete. Do it, write it, present it, and you move. Don't wait for anybody. Yes.
I agree. But then it is experience that we internationalize faculty, students, staff, students, academic staff in Africa. Based on all the advantages that are said earlier. Again, there is just the things I want to try, which is the knowledge that are destructive, which I feel there should be exposing our students to some of the knowledge getting from this model. And then that's when we get the model classic
Give an example of what you mean. Go ahead and give an example.
For instance,
that's the essence of this discussion.
The example I would give, like for instance, there are some of their values that are not intended in our own values. See, so if we expose our own students to start with, there's a way it might affect their knowledge because the big whatever you acquire, then there should be application. So if you begin to apply it and then it's not determined because we have, and then it starts with.
I hear you say that I'm a professor, right? Piece of control, the kind of thing you share. And you think they're not going to see it, even if you don't share it. They will see it. And so the power in the what? Yeah, it's not that. What do you mean? Are you going to control them? I'm not sharing it.
It's even better than saying that example. I think it was one or two examples. So there's something you talked about here. You said internalization of the academic. Mindset.
Mindset, that's it.
Because parents like to know, they also send it here. So, and you can't continue to mirror ourselves. Because just like you said, one way or the other, you think it's just good.
That's like when you have your child now, I don't know if you show me small little something here. They need something.
Yeah.
So the better they understand that, understand it very well, and then understand your own body, there is a middle to know balance, see the balance back. But if you cut it off as somebody shows you, so what we are saying actually impacts that kind, because we have professors who think how to control what the students will learn. So that once you say that, it's also applies to academic stuff. You need to hold on. Who learns that thing that you think is for it? First of all, understand why are they doing it? Why is their own value? Like some people say, oh, you don't want our children to really know what the word gay is. You don't want it because then they need it. Are people born to be intersex? Yes. You can have it. There are social aspects of it. There are people that are born that way. They have the two sexes. Right? They have the feelings. And they are covering up all their life. Because it's like people not. So what do we do to them? Kill them off. So that's a visual thinking. So you kill people who by no fault of their biological age are born with two sexual organs. One male, one female. And some doctors will say, cut off male, because it's keeping the cut off. Leave the person as female. Then the person grows as you, because you've already cut off the male one, the person grows up and then starts bearing beard. Then you're thinking about bearing beard and then start throwing birth. You kill the person. The person did not make it for herself. And it's not even being fashion. We have over 2 million people born that way. God created them that way. Why don't we educate our students to accept these people as created by God and worthy of existence? In the past, they would have been killed off, right? They would be described as women. You know, we were killing twins sometimes. Right? There's now twins are left. So expand your curriculum. If you're teaching microbiology, if you're teaching even I'm teaching English. I teach rhetoric and advanced writing, technical writing. I make my students read everything. They read about a male queen that intersex was born with both sexual organs. Luckily, she was born by, she had a parent that was very educated, reading, and understand that things can be. We call them integral biological formation. And somebody just created that, okay? What is it that is not this or that? We found at it and we pray over it, 4 molecules work on it. And this person has to exist. How do you make your child relate with such a person? Do you isolate? So this system of education we have, the professor ought to be influenced by different values. People are born in different religions by accident of life. Somebody that is a Muslim accident, the one here by a parent that is not. So how do you open up? You as a faculty, because you can't go to students when you already close minded, think their values. No, they shouldn't let it. Problem with that. So that's why the first part of God to change. Open up the listen that I'm so much afraid of. Let me understand it. How many of you have picked up the Torah and read to see how it differs from the text by or other religion or into or why is this? What's the historical background? So the mindset of openness, tolerance allows people to be. That's why the place is a very good system and destroys people. They don't believe that religion should be taught in any state. Why? Because it was the reason that they let they are being forced to take on one religion and they are already. So they decided that it's purely negative to force people to do one particular religion. So they decided that the best way is allow children to grow in an open system. You don't have to teach them any, but if you go back to your father and teach whatever you like, then in school it's not. But already created walls everywhere. Okay? So it's also open-mindedness, allowing people to be. So we have all agreed. Is there any dissenting voice here that internationalization should open? Something we should allow to happen? We should be open-minded. Learn more things that we have not learned before. If you are teaching a course, allow other things to come into that course. Invite people. How many of you have had opportunity to invite people to your class? To smash your head. Okay, come and speak to the question. Okay? So one thing that you think I can never do it, try it. It's possible. I'm not gonna break it yet.
Mine is not the same thing, but rather say because I keep my program and there was something I keep my program here and trying to break some barriers to thank God for my PC. But now when you try to bring in internationalized setting things like projects, programs, you might meet some barriers, but that's because just continue doing because it's kind of doing that principle that from this thing I learned, I met this barrier at the national level, but this were great institutions for that because at the state level, I'm saying in my university, my vice chancellor has very kind of doing stuff in that area. So that is just to say that I'm in support of internationalization. And this is a typical example, like for there was a time I worked for a program and I did this course on Islamism. So it helped me to understand something. And I found out that for my children, we're having this event that took place in Australia. There was also need to educate them all on what is happening between the Palestinians and the Israeli. When I went to Canada, I had certain impressions on certain groups of people, but that exposed me. So it's still part of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Canada is very strong on curriculum internationalization. I'm not a faculty that came from Canada, too, that I was the champion. Also true. We need to break boundaries and borders. Open up. Those things you never reach out for, you can listen to other people. Keep quiet. Did you do that for what? Listen to this. I hear, don't argue, and begin to open up to. Okay? You want to say something? Yeah. So the next thing now is, if you want to do it, do you start? What do you do? We are going to discuss like what I think.
Because the experience, that's
It's the second demonstration. And then there are certain things I'm going to go I did that. And I remember some years back, and then in the seminary environment. And then when I came out of the seminary, there's someone who talk. So they have an Irish friend who talk on their children. And I discovered that when I came amongst them, there was an opportunity for a teaching area in the school. I didn't know it was not a Christian school. It was an Christian campus school. And when I got in there, I met the lady. And so, what we call it, I just want to discover. So these plots, they over my study side, and all that. So I was like, oh, I want to say that. She looked at me, she was having discussion. She said, you don't tell me to wait for me. She was expressing. She said, you know, even if you say on one term, you're late. He said something like that. Okay. I said, I will. And I think my mind was open. And I think a lot that it was either we or and what is also sure we had about it is all actually easy. And there are no careers to love it. You know, but there are certain things we can start, but actually on the level and interactive with them, there will not be and so it's still internationalization. They say yes, internationalization. David, yes. And so I engage with them.
Very good. Wow. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, internationalization is openness, accepting people of all religions, keeping of God created religion and pathways to purity. And whatever we define as everything. Okay, so which country in West Africa is the country where you have the most mixed marriages and they live most peacefully? Yes. Which country in West Africa?
I mean, mixed marriages mean at national or within the country?
Within the country. They have various religions, they marry, intermarry within religion. Very amicably, and people from the West have come to study them because of that. Nigeria is America, not yet. Still, when they want the cost to buy it, they will come down. So, just going to be very honest about that. Syria is on the story for the best couple. Muslim, Christian, married for 40 years. Husband allows his wife to go to a Muslim, and wife allows the husband to go to Christian. They pray together. In function, if you go to there and they have a function, the Muslims pray, then they call it Christianity. They have an understanding that above what we understand here. They are all united in one thing. God transcends the humanitarian path. Okay, so they allow their kids to experience this religion. Actually, both here, unity, the husband is Christian. It's a very well. Nobody has asked before about that. And the most important thing is that they have the best moving home. So is it possible that they will internationalize? They are gone. So what is projected is moving above what you know your great grandparents, parents, even our great grandparents are they know what is family and all those things, and they respect it. They give people, they don't wrong people down. So and that is where we are going to agree. Bring in your wholeness in your course. Bring in your trueness in your course. Don't copy content of people who know you know better than those people. The only thing is that you have not sat down to write what to do. So look at your pedagogy, write it. Present it, even whether any of you have adopted it or not. Listen to this process, use it, reference it, you have free resources, write it, present it, offer it around you, present it anywhere. Make sure you submit your presentation in free journal. If you have problems, reach me, I can help you to publish. If you are able to present and work on this, and you want to publish in a tutorial board of international, I don't pay anything. It's free access, good journal, doesn't have to pay anything. So you publish it, you have visibility, then people want you to come and talk about what you do. Like that topic is over here. Say, keep right here. People have not seen that anywhere. So you can do that. So what's the first thing we do when you have internationalized your academic self? We have strategies. I want you to take note of these strategies. What are the components? Before you teach any course, if you're not already doing this, please, you need to retrain yourself. Whether your institution or your college or department asks you to prepare a syllabus or not. How many of you prepare syllabus? Syllabi? Do you have syllabi for every course that you teach? If you have one, please raise your hand. I have in all my courses, even as a professor, I do. If you don't, you are not helping yourself. Even if they don't ask you, prepare a syllabus. What do we have in a syllabus? A syllabus is a plan of implementation. It's a plan of action. It's a plan of action. So you have to understand that you cannot, it's criminal to go into a classroom and start teaching without preparation. And preparation is syllabus. So if you don't already have one, please, right after this, even if it's a one-page draft plan, have it. So what we are saying is, how do you, that plan that you already have, which you're using to teach, how do you internationalize it? So what do we have in a syllabus? So that syllabus that you have, you will need to begin to look at that syllabus. What's the content? What do you have in the syllabus as your global learning? What's the main goal of that course? What's the main goal? How many goals do you want to attain at the end of that course? What are the objectives that you have outlined that will help you to attain the goal, one goal or two goals? What is the content of material that you're going to cover? If you don't have it, write down. If you're the type that in the morning you have classes, you just quickly bring one textbook. You go through, it's okay, yeah, we need to do this. You're not preparing for your class, okay? You ought to have done some preparation, even a semester before that time, to say, these are the things I'm going to cover. And then you begin to look and research, what articles can the students read? These days, you can actually be the one compiling your tests free. I know we wrote a textbook for use of English, and we stopped the selling of handouts. It was radical, but people didn't like it. But it was very helpful. Every faculty in use of English had to write a chapter. I coordinated and gave everybody a chapter, and we agreed on what should be there. And it's more meaningful when you collaborate and bring such a thing. So that also immediately defines the content of the course. But within that content,
you can now infuse the global, the intercultural. Select the story. Select the story that will not just teach them how to write the literature, but that will impact the intercultural. For example, how many of you have watched the video Chimamanda Adichie's The Danger of a Single Story? How many of you have listened to it? How many of you have listened to it? Okay, write it down. It's free online. The Danger of a Single Story is a TED Talk. The danger of a single story, you can integrate it in philosophy, you can integrate it in literature, you can integrate it in history. And what does it say? The bias that we all hold, including Chimamanda herself, about our perception, about our own values against other people's values. If you go to the US, the first thing in your perception is to begin to say, look at what they're wearing. Whoa, what are they saying? No, not. So you're already biased when you're coming. And the same thing, they are already biased against you because of what somebody has written about you online, what somebody has written in our history, because we cannot write our own history. Some other people write it for us. They read it and believe that we are all living on palm trees. So when you come in, the first thing is they get your accent and they are biased. What is the strategy? What is the danger of one story being your whole life story? So Chimamanda Adichie discusses that in a TED Talk. And that is a core video you can use to internationalize your class. Let them listen to it, create questions out of that. And let them now write an essay on that, based on that. You can use it for history, you can use it for environment, you can use it for a lot of things. So, what is the global learning outcome? If you're going into your class and you don't know what at the end of the semester these students will take away, whether they crammed, you have them a big note or a big book, and they cannot take away one thing and say, this is what I got from this professor. Like the professor at the back said, my students love me and they remember me, they like what they are hearing. How many of them are saying that what you do is creative in such a way that it impacts them because it deviates from just textbook? From the chapter, yes, you are in what they are seeing. So you have to develop global learning outcomes. And even if you have one global learning outcome, you can then create objectives. They are going to watch this video. They are going to work in groups and produce this movie that shows this if you're in drama. They are going to work together and present this in class. And you're targeting the value you want to go into their presentation. And you make sure they read articles that projects that. So you are the one creating what you want them to take away, not a textbook written by somebody you don't know. So what material? So you will be the one going online to read, watch, listen videos, pick the videos that will help you. And these days, everybody is in their own internet. Instead of being on social media, assign them to read, listen to it, and come to class and present it. Don't be the one talking through the whole lesson and boring them. You know, let them be the one to write it up to do it. So what about the activities? The activities has to be, you have to make it research, ask them to research 3 countries to find out how this philosophy is done, how these environmental issues are handled, how this nursing program is done, how this law topic is handled, how this crisis, that we have happening, religion, this religion amongst that religion, how is it being handled? They compare it and present. That's internationalization. So you are going to be the one looking at those components and changing the perspective. So the ultimate guide question for everyone who teaches is, what knowledge, attitudes, skills do my students need to successfully live their personal and professional lives in a global village? Because where we are in Oka, but Oka is so global. It's on social media. People in China are reading everything you're doing. People in Canada, they are all reading and gobbling. People, do you know the number of African Americans watching movies that are produced by Nigerians? They tell me, oh, there's this lady I saw. It looks like you. You are. I said, I've never even watched the movie. They're watching it every day. That is globalization, the power of it. And so we also have to monitor. If you're in the creative world, you create movies, you have to watch. Do I want to convey this concept about my country in this movie, that we're all killing people? You have to intentionally decide. If you have a family, do I want my family to be known as people who killed all the people in Igbo land? No, there are very good things that your family has. That's the one you project. So as a writer that you are the creator. And God has endowed you with the creativity to create the right things and project it so that we grow better and our students will grow better. So let's not create, all those things. So what I'm saying in this, the professors, the one that you just brought in today and hired, the one that has been there 40 years ago, they are the instrument, powerful instrument in changing the dynamics, the outcome of the students who are traveling abroad. A lot of students are leaving the country. Are they prepared? Or are they going to dare to commit suicide and die because it's not what they are expecting that they are seeing? Are they going to go there? They don't know how to interact. They can't talk because nobody taught them how to interact. They are so afraid. They don't have confidence because you've not engaged them to talking and presenting. How are we preparing them? Could build their power. You are the powerhouse. That's what I'm saying here. All the professors, all of you, the beginners and the old ones, you are the powerhouse. You create. You are the workforce. Okay, so what are the skills we are targeting? Knowledge, attitudes, and skill. If you've not built them empower them with those skills, they can operate. Not in this community, not elsewhere. You must empower awareness of interdependency of the world. The world, US cannot exist without Nigeria. They cannot. If you know the number of medical doctors that are out there from Nigeria, just from this section of the Igbo land, just the hospital that is in the city where I teach, we have more than 20 medical doctors from Nigeria. Without them, that hospital will not operate. We have a retired surgeon who is a Nigerian Yoruba. He retired and they went back and call him back to just sit there and be talking to people and they'll be paying you because they don't have anybody. It tells you how powerful you are. Yes, you ought to know and build yourself to be more powerful. They need you, and if they need you, they'll get you wherever you are. Okay, but we need to also help to build our own. So attitudes or affective characteristics, openness to learning, positive orientation to new ideas. It's not only the idea you have before your great-grandfathers, that's the best idea. No, 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 no. Other ideas are also great. You should be open to learning them. Because even the children you're having now, you don't know where they will go. You don't know who they will end up with. You don't know which houses. Some of them might be, you don't know. So help to educate them properly. Empathy, ways of thinking. We mustn't think only one way. There are so many ways. Self-esteem. Let's build students that are strong. Even if you know a little thing, be strong. It will look like you know 360 degrees when you just know a little. And what's the difference? Your strength. Show your children how to speak, even if they have accent, to open their eyes with their accent and speak. Okay? And self-esteem is very important. You can use your assignment to direct this knowledge. Give them an assignment that challenges them to learn those things. So don't be the one doing everything for them. Give them an assignment to read it, put them in a position to present it. When I was teaching English at UNIZIK, I had a postgraduate class. I let them read 30 articles. I download the articles because they'll tell me they don't have access. I pull the articles and I tell you, you have to read and write me bios of, of those biodatas of those, maybe the authors of the articles, and then actually the articles themselves. Summarize the article. By the time you read all of that, you're expanding your knowledge. So don't do it for them. Let them read it, do it, learn how to summarize, learn how to abridge content. So you building tolerance and acceptance. How do you do it? You cannot build tolerance if you're not able to even listen to others. So you build tolerance by associating with people who are different from you, who say things that sound stupid. Then you allow them to speak anyway. You allow them to speak. Skills, technical skills. Remember what we said, crossing borders. What are the skills that cross borders to Nigeria? Ours cross borders too. So social media, everybody's on, online, on this, on this. You learn a lot too from there. Comparative thinking skills. They help you. Integrative skills. So we have a list of all these competencies. And that, once you are aware of it, you can build your topics and content in the same way. So the same way, once you develop the content objective, then you go ahead also and develop the learning assessment. How do you assess? Okay, so that these are some examples. So I use some examples from Georgia. These are examples of breaking down skills. Okay, so if you look at some of these, some global self-awareness, these are targets global learning. So in those articles that I'm talking about, these courses are example of courses that have been internationalized. Teacher education, mathematical finance, nursing, social work, chemistry, business administration, visual and performing arts, criminal justice, English composition, music, psychology, public speaking, forensic science, biological sciences. So practically any course that you can think of. And some of these have been published as models. So that if you click on this link, you read articles written by people who have published. So these are some major articles that we have that you can read to read examples of what you can do. These are some model articles too. So this is practically the last stage of what we're supposed to do today. And once we discuss this, we'll kind of bring it to a close. So if we want to create a model of internationalized courses in Africa or in Nigeria, pick up any institution that represented here, country needs, what's the first thing you do? You have to think about what do we want? What's the global learning outcomes we have? So we have to analyze, what do we need? What do we need the students to learn? What do we think they don't even understand? What are the questions? What questions? So we are going to be the one. How many of us here? Okay, so when you hear that a country is not suffering, for example, we know that Israel, Jews, they are the richest people. When you hear that, what do you think? You think a whole lot of people made it happen? It was only 5 or 6 people who sat down and designed that this killing of Jews, that no Jew will ever suffer. In their education, you never see them go beg for money. They have money. And it is intentionally done by just few people sitting down and say, this is our strategy. And it happened. So in the same way, I just want us to finish this presentation by contemplating, discussing, what do you think as a continent of Africa? What do you think as a country, Nigeria? What kind of individuals do we need to graduate in your area? What other skills do you think we need to put in? What are the competencies that you think we will need in addition to whatever you're teaching? So I want us to just very quickly discuss that and put it down. What questions do we think we need to answer as we are designing? What questions do we need to design? What question? What would be a key question that you will need to ask? For example, where will my student work? You're going to work in Nigeria, or is he going to leave the following day and go abroad to get a master's or to become a doctor? So what have I taught this child that will make it possible to stay there and survive successfully? So that's one key question. What other questions? What other questions?
Values.
Values. So we need to, so when you talk about values, what exactly do you mean?
Talking about values, because wherever that's been, there are certain negative values that Nigerians seem to have. Not some of them, when you see yourself migrating, just drop them. But this is something that we need to talk about, because even there, the national pride or the national shape, something that can highlight national pride and the equal national shape. And that would be the biggest right.
Question: how do we integrate self-esteem and national pride in our curriculum? Would it start at the higher education? Where would be the right place to start that? Internationalizing the primary, the kindergarten. If you see a kindergarten child in the US looking into your eyes and asking you a question, you will faint. You say, where did this little baby gain this energy? Because the system, right from the nursery school, once that child touches that school, the curriculum tells the child, you are the best. The other world is, no, it's not good for you. This is the best. Okay? So you begin that to build that. So how do you build it? They build it with the curriculum, they build it with the content, they give you confidence in anything you produce. They say it's the best. The child draws upside like this, they say, oh, you are the best. They never say you are, this needs correction, no, or put the child down. So how do we put that from the nursery, the kindergarten, the primary, the secondary, and the university level? How do you discipline yourself as a faculty, as a professor, even if you know your student is saying the wrong thing? What's your approach? Do you shout them down? Or do you allow them to be and then eventually bring in the right thing? So what we do matter a lot, and we have to address them when we are the syllabus. The syllabus is your plan. So what is the content? What will be the focus? So you've identified one need. The country needs to produce students outcome with confidence. So how do we bring that? That we have to define a global learning that will help that. And it has to come from the primary. So, and that is also a point of analysis. We're analyzing, what do we have now? What are we producing right now? Are you confident in the product at the end of your semester? After you look at the students in the eye, do you feel strong that these students, even if it's one objective that you really fulfilled it to the optimal, that student will remember you for that? If you're not doing it yet, so let's not look at NUC when they will be ready, but let's do it now. Because that internationalization will not just benefit your student, but will also benefit you. You internationalize yourself and you'll be marketable anywhere. You can be anywhere, you can. So what questions? The question is the value. The first question we talked about is value. What other question are we going to talk about? What values do we embody? So we have openness. We said openness is a key thing. All the affective factors, behavior, right attitude, tolerance. I was in Senegal and I was thrown off aback about their behavior. Very humble people, well educated, I'm telling you. Some of them speak 3 languages. I met a very young girl. She's covered her face, everything, because they are 98% Muslims. So are you thinking all of them will go to hell because they are 98% Muslims? Is that what you're thinking? You know? So if you're thinking that way, it means that there's a problem with you. If you really think that 98% of the country that is Muslim, that they are all going to perish because they are not Christians. Remember your religion is an accident of birth, right? If you weren't born to be where you are, you will be something else. You might not even have any religion, but you still be of God. God created you. So we have to address those questions. What national actions do we need? You might say it's beyond you. It's not beyond you. You can do something. You know, like I told you, what is happening about Jews and Israelis, and the fact that they don't beg any money for a dime. The ones injecting all the money you see in US, they are the powerhouse of money. It was just a group of 5, 7 people meeting and saying, we never this will happen again. What do we do? This is how we generate money. They are never clouting for position. They never go to be a president, but they will decide if you will be or not. And how do they do this? They have the money. Can you do the same thing? Even if you're not targeting money, but say, let us come together as we have experienced this and begin to make some differences in the way we design what we teach and model ourselves and present together. What higher education action do we need? Some of you here have very strong positions. Professor Mbozi, I know you have a very strong position, and that is a very new institution with a dynamic vice chancellor. You all can do a lot. You all can do very strong collaborations with outside the world that will bring a lot of changes. And before too long, you see a lot of things happen. It's one individual, 2, 3 that could make the whole change you're looking for. No need pointing at the president or this person or that person. If I were there, no. Right now that you are over one course, you can do a lot of things. What higher education actions? So what faculty action can you take right now? So this is the one yes, this is the one that everybody has to say what faculty action we can take. Okay.
I think one of our take home here is in our report, we're going to write this faculty action. Because when
you want to get like I said again, and how can we step these people down to the very country? What is the gift that who and do this teaching to not just the genes or
actually that's the last slide that I have to do. And do you have any questions for future action? And I think you these are to like achieve awareness and that intention for creating this opportunity for all of us. It's a very short workshop, it's a very short presentation. If you get everything. In the links that we have here, we have links to resources that can be directly, that people access to journals to read, and so on and so forth. So with that, thank you all so much. I appreciate all of you that are here. Yeah, she wants to take up there. And then Dr. Osakwe and explain that kind of your baby Zoom. Thank you.
you know, the last time so much policy, and you can see that so many states are coming in. It's like the concentration of their states. You can show that as national and what happens is also based on what she said, education curriculum change or reformatting down. If you meet somebody in that organization, first look about it, recycle out. A child that is more yet knows that I don't paper the green bucket. So she was become so because it takes the kids to maintain how to do the effects of the
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I can talk about it, but it goes back to you. Don't wait till a formal
there is wrong. And we are practicing any way we can. If you have your child in the nursery somewhere, go there, tell them, decide to be the person presenting about how they need to talk about ways to look and how. You know, so begin with what you can do, and the change will come. We have the power of creativity. I don't care if you're just coming into a faculty position today, you have the power to change the world. I'm telling you, that you might look down on yourself. No, you are the most powerful element. When I was teaching at Unity, I was the whole of engineering, civil, mechanical. Do you know what it means? It means that I have the power to integrate in my courses, even if it's for 1 hour. Tell all of them, my students here is still, 1,000. They can't even give me 4. They are all standing in my division. There is a big power there. So don't take for granted the little opportunity you have. You can bring change anywhere. Volunteer, do a lot of things. So many of you are in churches, doing things. You can bring in internationalization there and make them to know that there are different other ways to learn. Internationalize your meetings. Tell them about how education should be and what they should encourage teachers in primary, kindergarten to bring into the classroom. Because you're the professor, they're responsible about. You are in all kinds of community meetings. Some changes were done in other countries. They're not better than us. Yeah, if you go there, you see. You have powers that they don't have. We have look at us. We are in a very private system. You're not looking for that to hide us school. That's what we're thinking about is that God has given us everything. So we need to make the little use of the gifts that we have. The gifts that all of you have there, the gifts of being a professor, every subject that make that. That's the key thing. And then you have the resources. Any material you have, you need in the references that I have. You can access them online. These resources are.
Madam, my question. Can we get some sort of certification for easy access to the references?
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why people and I have the references, yeah. Only use them.
Yeah. I think,
And that's my yeah, I'm on WhatsApp, but the thing is, how active am I? I do go there once in a while. If I give somebody and they send me something on WhatsApp, I go. Just like.
thank you for this. My question is, in my field, we are having a challenge in computing. In the sense that in general, it's global cost. But sometimes we are thinking of bringing it home to solve our problems. Because when you come to maybe the large language model, again, now we have the algorithm, we have algorithm, which you can implement in our office, and it begins to give you an error.
Yes.
The data bias and the now we are looking for a way to bring it home. So when you now talk about internationalization and this situation, how do we balance it?
You are the creator. Why do we have imbalance? Because people like you have not set up to originate. Okay? So we have this lady, African American. She wanted, what about the medications you take? How are they developed? The chemicals, the medications. Whose genome are they using? The white people's genome. Okay, so we have this lady now that is trying to create an African-based genome bank. I think somebody spoke about it. She was a keynote presenter in my school. US will not give her any grant because they know what she was trying to create. Where did she got his grant? She got her grant from Britain. They sponsored her and she's ready to use consultants from all over the world. I think Nigeria is one of the model countries. Ghana is one. And they are recruiting professors to help. They are creating genobanks because we need typical Africans with African blood to generate whatever they need to come up with those, if it's sickle cell, if it's cancer, the people that are being cured of that now or being given medications are being based on the genome of white people that they use, to develop what they're doing. And they're trying to now use typical Africans, the original Africans, to come up with that. So who can help them? People like you, very young people like you. You're already doing dynamic things. Be volunteer to join their project. They are looking for young people to join them. And you can help to bridge that existing gap that is not there. Like we said, over 50%, 60-something% of US and Nigerian population, they are the youth that we have here. Other countries don't have it. It's a rich resource. It's an economic might that we have. And so people like you should step in and be in that project. When you're going into a project, don't have the mindset of money, money, money. Go in force. Let them recognize you, be part of it, and the money will follow you, So be willing to help, to create, to be part of it, to help them to present. You see what you're doing with your students, be ready to do a write-up and present. Everything you've done now is internationalization. So all you need to do is to systematically put it into discussion in your paper. What's the process? How did you bring this guest? What's the content that you're covering? What's the goal? What's the objective? How did you assess them after they have listened to that? And how did it tie up with your final outcome? Present it and share it. It's published and people will start looking for you to come and share that. So that is how we started. Don't think it has to come from somewhere. You are the experts. Recognize your expertise, use it. That's what we're saying. Mrs. Smeke will be looking for people to do it in different areas. So right now we have somebody chemistry, we have people in environmental, we have people in philosophy. So already in the model that I have, I'm not a mathematician, I'm an English professor. But once I learned internationalization, I recruited across board, trained them, they internationalized, I made them publish. I'm in the list of it, make them publish and they go viral. Almost all the libraries, they're reading what they're published. And what do you think? They call them, they bring them in to present. So that's how you publicize yourself. Don't wait for anybody. Like she said, we will all have to start it. And he's already doing it. He writes report to the vice chancellor. That is powerful. That is powerful. So if they are looking for somebody to represent that campus in any forum, he should be the one to go. If we have a grant and we are looking for 10 people to represent 10 universities, who do you think I'll come for? I have my list there. This person was there, this person was there. We need people who are going to train 20 more faculties in 5 institutions. You are going to be the consultant. Okay? I was recruited as a consultant from UNICEF, post-conflict Sierra Leone, to come and train over 2,000 teachers. How do you think I did it? We have to key in and pick the best across, like 10 people who are experts in social work, social studies, right? And then find, what do they call it? They don't call English, they combine the whole thing. And then they have sciences and they have mathematics. You train them on how to write and document what they are, publish it, and then they started training the whole system. So even when I'm not there, the train is ripple effect, it's going. And the country gains change. Little thing. So all of you here can create that change that we are looking for. Okay? So that's it. Thank you all so much.
This place, I'm not really talking about NUC. This is something we can rise from our university, rise from our own department, even at our own desk as lecturer, subject lecturer. These things are not difficult. She talked about mindset. The mindset. Remember when I said that from love? The first program I attended in HIV was like, wow, how can I bring this thing to the logic of others? How can I make people of HIV and what to do to prevent humanity? I made sure that every training program I implemented, HIV and validation started. That was my contribution. The mobilization came up, even if it was a possible. Everybody to organization, we can engage. Of course, I would say one time, I made sure that every program I implemented, the first umbrella company is for people to understand what it is and what actions we take. Today we're talking about thank you for bringing me back. What we're doing today, 4 years ago, we started with it. And this time around, I took it to next year. So, what we are really talking to today, some of us have heard about it, some of us don't know how it works. But I'm talking about this. We talk about global learning. Giving our students global competence. I think internationalization 2002. And when I first went on NASA, I said, no, the discussion should be shifting to that. Not just training children and what to study. How else? Because study abroad, our children are not. Most are not abroad. Most children abroad, they can do study abroad. They have some scholarship in back. There's in Nigeria, we don't have the money, there's no scholarship from that, and the one that the system of education will not benefit it. So the next thing is internationalization. And my dear brother, we can do it. Honestly, we can do it. Now we have to back. There's nothing there. It's like whatever you're doing, even right now, you step back into your classroom. You need to think. Everything I'm presenting, whatever I'm presenting, she's in global linkages. Whatever she's doing, she's already thinking about that. That's the mindset. Training is focus. Obviously, to bring it, there's no program I attend, I believe to say. None in my life. We need to take the discussion with others. Within your faculty, in your department, within your university. Those of you that are in the university, this is put something. So, in your university, you are rated as your department or even your subject area. They are the most global competent lecturer. They are the most self-internationalized academic. You can start it. From there you go. From you as a content, a lecturer, goes to the department, or to the faculty, or the faculty to the school, then to the university. We can do it. Honestly, if you wait for NCUK, I don't know where it will come. So they don't. Why would we buy them? Champion.
Yes.
Others will come and learn from you. First, they need to visit them. Somebody will work together with you. International education. I should not go that time. Then, in fact, she said she never, but she wanted to, yeah, she said, I should move on with it. That's what I knew that even told her about it. So, my dear, you have the power. You have the power. Even it's also affecting, but the IDK will also do global students. What global competencies are we going to give them? Do you know in some Nigerian that are coming to UK, they're talking about institution. You know that they will go their lecture. I want to migrate to institution. Because they global technique, they need to go with Nigeria. But if we have started from here, we can learn what we are doing. See, somebody will go and read story and study about how running in class every day and going for school run. But that's what we are used to doing here. This is a global competence. It's not about global competence. And every subject they are teaching, we have something. So let's just say, she has always been my, even as a mother. I don't have to be a mother from, I even though we are very different. Remember, we were together in John. My first day, she already happened to be in America. She came to Nigeria. I went from my house to 2 weeks because they had house I had so she had to sign me as a mother. Yes. So it's like been like that, you know. So I want to thank each and everyone who came. Then I don't know how to thank you. They just start thanking you. The child is very quiet and stopping with opportunity. I don't know, fire. Thank you so much for those who are listen. I see those who are here and those who are university second. And my sister who was a rector, she attended that with a so what she has left is also help. So thank you for ABS people that are here. I told them to go. We're doing a discussion that will become a fire. You know, in Nigeria, the family start first the wine fire. So I'm happy you're here. After the special guest of honor speaker. I didn't want to make it a big ceremony. So, because the people came to take our teacher, and then I will thank you for calling, just like I said, the label we are giving to, and then what also like, I will be called
everyone, on behalf of every attending guest, I want to especially thank the President Nora and also the president for IDK, Dr. Gilman, and our team. Okay, and our team. You know, when my vice principal reminded me about it, I was making computer from the life of my area, and I'm going to engage in that. emailing and doing some back and forth with Professor Neka. I want to say that it's really like this now. Because it's not just something that we all right to spend, okay, because our Vice Chancellor reminded us, no, we have just gone and sent out the meeting to inside our president. But because for me, and I also I see there's something inside and you were already thinking you are doing use the outcome of this for our unit and also for our university. So and I know that I'm saying the same thing for every attention. So we are grateful that you came all the way from USA, spent to be part of your holidays, for like we share that excitement. You are still teaching. Thank you very much. And from what Mr. Chairman can say, we can pull out something. We can pull out some data and start something for our team. And we have this dynamic behavior that is very superior. That is our Vice Chancellor Professor H. of Nora. Thank you, everybody. And I know that after this, interact, exchange numbers and things, so that if there's any opportunity that we can meet up and still continue the conversation. We need to continue this internalization. Let's see what, yeah, let me see all of us that we resonate with everybody that came here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the prayer. Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah, starting on my specific and history, I want to thank you for such a time like this, for this interaction that we had, opening our eyes, encouraging us further that we should not relent and meet every barriers and challenges. This is a great opportunity for our community, different academic communities. Thank you for this opportunity. Bless the teachers, bless the organizers, and everybody that was part of it. As we go your presence, and please, you will teach us more that we use it for the state and further to globalize it in the name of Jesus. Amen. We share it with the fellowship of Jesus Christ, love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit. Really goes down forevermore. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, can take us. Yeah. Or less. Can we get it from outside? Can we remove it? Then you print. Yes. Yes, roll up this. Yeah, come and roll up this. I was very simple. It's not good to have to do it. No,
You're not scared. You have to read and learn it. If not, you don't be small mind that you show you.
You go wait till after photograph they will interview first. And then you can also interview one of the go with them back. Isn't bad roll of hand. And you guys follow it. Yeah, what did I get you for what? What is it?